when you start recording. Yeah. Good morning, good morning, good
Good
morning.
morning.
You're watching and listening to A'Esha Goins with Life of a Daughter, and we're here at Radio Tribune. I am excited and elated, and I'm a little exhausted. I haven't slept in like 2 days.
Oh, oh
Business has been
no.
kind of crazy.
Oh
I'm,
no.
I know. I'm sorry. I know that you guys are watching. Our shot this morning is a little dark, and I apologize for that. You know, we're still maturing and we're working out the kinks. So I know that you can see me. Can you see me? You can see me a little bit. We might have to, because we wanted to make sure that the banner was here, and we're gonna get some more banners, but we'll figure it out. This morning, my guest is Jeremy Washington, and he wrote a book called, it's a new book coming out, and it's called Words of Wisdom. It's called POW, and that's like his word, POW, short for powerful. So he'll be in here this morning, and we'll be talking about that. But I just kind of want to recap what we were talking about on last Wednesday. So Dee, thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Let's see. There's some feedback going on over there. Rolando, I think the show is on somewhere else. Yeah, over here. And I don't know what did you just see the light just pop up? Okay. So I know there was some lighting just a second ago. I don't know. Anyway, I know that you're listening to me and you're like, A'Esha, let's get it together. But this is what happens when you're live.
Yes. All kinds of fun things.
All kinds of fun things. So what we were talking about was some things about the school district. Remember we were talking about perfect, Rolando. Remember we were talking about them splitting the districts up? Correct. So they haven't figured out how they're going to do that. But what they have done is they've legislature, Governor Sandoval signed on a victory bill.
Okay.
And the victory bill it adds money to underserved schools.
Okay.
And so Booker Elementary School, which the principal there is Principal Mason. I actually grew up with him. He was one of the first ones that got the bill.
All right.
And so I'm not really sure what the money is, how much money it is, but it is definitely and strategically for the school and to enhance the education and the performance and the teachers. So I'm really excited about that. I don't really know how much money is available for the fund. So I'm going to still look into that. Okay. But I do know that Governor Sandoval did sign on that, and the bill has already went to one of the schools. So congratulations, legislature, for doing that. And education is important. And one of the problems that we were having in the inner city schools and the prime 6 schools is keeping teachers in the schools, because the underserved schools, they have some strategic ways of teaching. And so what happens is the teachers, they go to these schools and then they learn all these new skills, but because there's no contracts in place to keep them there, they can transfer out like the next year.
Retention is a problem.
It's a huge problem. And in one of the meetings I was in, they were saying that 60% of the school teachers that are in the inner city schools transfer out after a year.
That's a significant number.
Yeah, it's huge. So legislature did a great job to release that money, but I'm looking forward to, I know that there are a couple of more bills that have to do with education. So I'm going to wait to see if he signs on those, because that's, as everybody's watching what's going on, all laws haven't been sealed by the governor yet.
Okay.
He's still signing on them. And, and sometimes people don't really understand politics. So I'm going to kind of explain how it works. So legislature, and I'm doing this because my son made me explain it to him, and he's 11. So, So what they do is our assemblymen and our senators, they go to basically a Senate assembly. at our level. So each state has a Senate Assembly the same way it would be at the national level. And then what happens is they lobby bills. They write and champion and lobby bills at the legislature level. We only go to legislature every 2 years in Nevada. And then what happens is, as these bills go forward, the governor, who his title is just like the president, but over our state, the bills get through legislature, which means they vote on the bills, and then he signs on them or he doesn't sign on them. So that's how the system works. And I wanted to say that because oftentimes where we're showing up in meetings, we don't always know, who we're talking to and the power or authority that they have. And we don't know who to take certain issues to in our community. So for example, if you have an issue, my guest is here. Okay. If you want to just let them know that we're just doing some recaps. So for example, if you have some situations where wanting to get licensing and wanting to get gaming licenses and things like that, depending on where you're located, your property is located, you would either see the city commissioner or your commissioner, or you would see the city council. It's, that's what they do. And then if you wanted to have something done with the school district, that is not what they do. That is something that you would take directly to your legislature. If you're talking about zoning or anything like that, that is your city council and your commissioners, your county commissioners. But anything having to do with changing law, changing policy, that is your assemblymen and your senators.
And those bills, before they get onto the legislative floors, are introduced in committees. So if you could even preempt the bill getting to the floor, whether you're in support or against the bill, and there's always room for public comment in these committee meetings. They're introduced either as an AB, which is an assembly bill, or an SB, which is a Senate bill. So you can track this bill all the way from committee,
yes,
which is an excellent way to get involved at the committee level.
Yes,
because if it gets out of committee, then it pretty much is accepted by the legislature.
Yes.
If it stays in committee, then you may not see it for another legislative session.
And it's important to know, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because it's also important to know who sits on what committees. So you want to, and this information is available online. It is available on the Secretary of State and then also on the voting website. And then the assembly has a website, and then the Senates have a website as well. But all of that is just, you can Google it. And you want to know who sits on what committee, because whatever issue that you are directly, you want to be directly involved in, you want to know who sits on that committee, because those are the people that you want to take the information to and have them champion, or even sometimes they don't have to champion the bills, because sometimes they're already working on bills that they can put your language into their bill. So it's important that you do your homework, know who's doing what, and know who is in your, know who your direct policy person is, know whom you are constituent to, because that really is where your authority is. If you can tell, for example, I am in Harvey Mumford's district.
Okay.
So he would be my direct assemblyman.
Right.
I am his direct constituent. So when I speak to him, and the same thing with Ricky Barlow. So when I speak to them, I say to them, I am your direct constituent, which means that you and I are supposed to be in relationship.
I voted you in, and therefore
Yes.
You need to listen to your constituents.
Yes. And then you know what committee they're on. And also, one of the things that I always say is know where their passion line is. Because oftentimes, I know that Assemblyman Tyrone Thompson, his passion line is welfare. And one of his passion line also is homeless, because he actually works for the homeless right now. And so because I know that's his passion line, when I'm talking to people about certain scenarios and where they want to help, I tell them, I know that you're not Tyrone Thompson's constituent, but I know that his passion line. You should probably get with him and have a conversation, because there might be a bill he's already championed, which champion means that that's your baby. That's what champion means. But in that say, there might be a bill he's already working on that you don't even know.
And just because you are in Mumford's district doesn't mean that you can't go to someone who's more effective, more in a position to cause the issue that you have
Yes.
To go to these other legislators,
Yes.
always go to your own legislator, but know who sits on these committees, because you want to go to those legislators also. And the committees are made up of legislatures both here in Southern Nevada and in Northern Nevada.
Yes.
So you will find someone from Southern Nevada sitting on a committee, and if it's an issue that you want championed just as much as a legislator
Right.
does, those are the legislators you need to be talking to and
taking them to lunch, building relationship. We forget that especially in this city, most of our positions are citizen positions, where citizen position means that I could run for office, which I thought about at one point.
Good.
But I decided against it because they don't make any money. And I'm really in the money vein right now.
I understand. You have a kid, you have a child to
I have
support.
a child, yes. So, which brings me up to Assembly Mumford's seat that he terms out this term. So in 2017, his seat is up, and I'm already looking at candidates that I want to back. And one of the young men that I'm looking at is Eric Foster. He ran last term against Harvey Mumford. So this term he is, we have already discussed him actually running for office for the District 6 seat, which is Harvey Mumford's, which is my district. So I'm looking forward. I've spoken to Mr. Foster. I know where his passion lines are. I know that he is directly in alignment with bills that will directly affect me, because I'm really deep in what's going on in the medical marijuana community, which that. So any politician that I'm speaking to, I'm directly asking them, where do you stand on this bill? Because if I know that, you and I are at oppositions with it, then I know that you're not going to be somebody that I'm going to back.
Right.
And I'm going to be clear to kind of not have those conversations with you, so that you and I also don't become opposing conversations. And that all, you have to understand that about politics. People always say, well, I don't want to do politics. I don't want to be involved. But if you're a business owner, if you're a small business owner, or you have children, or you own a home, all of this directly affects you, and you have to be aware, and you have to get involved.
And if you go to a politician, and I've had this happen to me, because my daughter is the reason that legislation was passed in 2013. When you go to these legislators and they just give you a wink and a nod, which for those of you who don't know what that means, if there's a language barrier, what that means is they're just, don't kid a kidder.
Mm-hmm.
Then just move on. Don't waste your time. I actually had a legislator say to me it was a domestic violence issue, and it turned out that this legislator has domestic violence charges against him. Well, he didn't disclose that. So know who you're talking to.
Yes.
Know your audience. If
Yes.
you go to a legislator, bring up his bio first, or her bio first.
Yes.
And make sure that they're going to be in your camp.
Yes.
And if they don't make you any commitment, if they don't say to you, well, let's do this, or give you any action items that they will work on, move on. The Bible says, shake the dust from your sandals.
That is one of my favorite scriptures. That I love that scripture, not just because of the way I have to go in and out of life, but because oftentimes I get caught up in circumstances, and then I have to remind myself of that scripture. A'Esha, kick the dust from your, and you absolutely, because the Bible says you won't always be respected in your own land. So we have to be clear that, that's where we are. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I needed to hear that just now.
That's a good scripture.
I have so many things running through my mind, but I wanted to give a little history lesson and a little governmental political lesson to my viewers, because they know that. So I'm embracing me fully. And politics is one of my passions, but I don't really talk about it openly, because I don't like to get into arguments, because I'm a loving person. And oftentimes when you have your political views, they clash with the other person. So I try not to bring it up.
Correct. So what do they say? Politics and taxes. Never talk about it.
Never talk about politics, religion, and taxes.
Okay.
So I try not to do that. But spiritually is my lifestyle. So there's nothing I can do about that. And oftentimes politics will slip out, but I just won't get into a heated discussion about it.
Good.
Especially not where I stand, because I know that people, I think differently is what I'll say. I think differently.
Now, I appreciate that, and that's why we have politicians,
Yes.
because they all meet a need somewhere.
Somewhere.
Are you related to Brian Goins?
No,
Goins?
no.
Okay.
I actually, people often ask me, am I related to Theron Goins and Pam Goins, and
Who are all politicians?
Politicians, yes, but no, I'm not.
Okay.
I just love politics.
Okay.
Our last names are spelled differently, but I do know Pam. Actually, her and I have had some business discussions regarding business, because she's in North Las Vegas and she just was really reelected for City Council in North Las Vegas, and they're reintroducing some new things out there. Congratulations to Mayor Lee and the City Council. They're working really hard to get enterprising businesses in their area.
Good.
And so since they're doing that, yes, I have spoken to Councilwoman Pam Goins about some things that's going on. But there are, we have to be aware of what's going on. It's really, really time out for not knowing who's doing what's going on, because the laws are changing every single day. And as the laws change and we don't know what's going on, we don't have any rights. And my dad says all the time, and I've said this a few times, if you don't know your rights, you don't have any rights. Mm-hmm. And right now, especially to people of color, there are so many laws that are evolving and being pushed forward that aren't always in our benefit. And I don't want to just say Black, but minorities. Mm-hmm. So we want to be clear about that. And then also, as small business owners, anything having to do with finances, because they had there was a bill out that they wanted to put a 6% tax on service charges.
Okay.
Which means I'm a service provider, and if I charge you $100 for a service, I would have to charge you $100 plus another 6%, because they would be taxing me 6%. Okay. So as a small business owner, that's just insane.
Interesting.
And so these are the things that people want to be aware of, because that directly affects your life.
Yes.
It's like paying it's paying a new tax, right? So you can imagine, out of every $100 that you make, you owe them you owe them $6.
And as a business owner, you aren't going to absorb that cost. You can't. Right. You can't. Your budget is balanced, and so you pass that on to your consumer.
Exactly. I have which then becomes makes my ability to compete even more difficult, because now I'm in a situation where I'm already competing against the larger corporations, so my prices are already adjusted to compete, but now they're making it more difficult for me to compete because I have to adjust even more. One of the things that I always say is, if my legislature isn't looking out for me as a small business owner, you're pretty much telling me to get a job. I tell them that all the time. Like, anytime I show up and they're talking about monies that have to be reallocated, or enterprise in dollars or whatever, I show up, and everyone should. I show up, and number one, I'm a small business advocate, and I show up as a small business advocate, as a small business owner, and I tell them, if you have not allocated so many dollars to small businesses, not just my small business, but small businesses abroad, because I'm a small business coach, what you've done is you've told me to get a job, and I'm offended. So anytime you tell me to get a job, I'm offended.
Okay.
But I have Mr. Washington here, and we're going to be talking about his new book that he has out.
You want me to go get him?
Yeah, but first I want you to say goodbye to the people.
Well, of course. Say goodbye, Deanne. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dee, for the conversation, and I'll see you on Monday.
Okay.
High five. Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
You too. So I have Mr. Jeremy Washington, and he's just written a book, and it's called POW, Words of Wisdom. It's a book of quotes, and him and I have worked closely on the project, so it gives me great pleasure to bring him on the show today. I just want to, while he's coming in, I have a peer that she has a show coming up later on today, and her guest will be David D. Alba, the Cuban Judy Garland impersonator. Her show is Face the Tribune at noon. Usually that's Rolando's show, but because she has a special guest, she'll be doing the show. So at noon today, from noon to 1. You can tune back in, and Miriam will have David de Alba, the Cuban Judy Garland impersonator. You know, that is a huge job being a female impersonator, because that's a lot of makeup. I don't wear makeup. You realize I get up and I'm here at like 7:30. I can't get up and put on makeup. I'm not about that life. Come on, Jeremy. These people is watching. They do not want to see me. They waiting for you. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great.
Good. Go ahead and have a seat. How you feeling?
I'm grand. How are you?
I'm good. So you met Rolando?
I did.
Rolando is a great guy,
Yeah.
and I appreciate him. And we're downtown in Las Vegas, Nevada, at 827th Street, right here off Charleston and 7th. And we are at Las Vegas Tribune. I'm A'Esha Goins. You're watching Life of a Daughter. And Mr. Jeremy Washington has just walked in the building. And so, Mr. Washington, what are you up to today?
Oh, I'm here to promote my book, my first book.
Your first book.
Yes, indeed.
You look great this morning. You always
Thank
look
you,
good,
Kylie.
though. I got extra dressed, too, because I knew you. I put on flowers and
could
everything.
tell.
I did my hair and everything.
Plus, huh?
I was going to put on makeup, but I just wasn't about that life.
Oh, okay. I see your lashes. Just a little.
Just a little. They can't even see it. I'm feeling some kind of way. You can see the T-zone right here. You see me shining. Anyway, so tell us about your book.
All right. Well, it's a book of motivational quotes that I've written to inspire people, to encourage and empower people. Many people go through life, through different situations and dilemmas, and can't find their way. So I wanted to actually make a way for people, give people hope.
Give people hope.
Yeah.
And
not false hope.
Exactly. And we're in a life right now that everybody needs just a little more hope.
Indeed.
So how long did it take you to write your book?
That's a good question. Because I didn't necessarily write a book, but it wasn't my intention. It was yours.
So let's tell people a little bit about the story. So Mr. Washington and I, he actually goes to church with my mother.
Ebenezer Church of God in Christ.
Yes.
Superintendent Bill McDonald.
Well, actually, I call Uncle Bill. So shout outs to Uncle Bill. I just heard a song where they were shouting people out. So I'm going to do that later on today. Okay. It was really, really cute. But so he goes to church with my mother, and him and I have met as I'm passing through, because I have a tendency to pass through places, not really sit down. And so I've had a couple of conversations with him, and then he was working on and then he does an event called
Mr. Jeremy's Twist, Social Mixer and Topic Party. And
I've been to a few of those, and I tend to be a little controversial when it comes to certain topics, one of them being dating and relationship. So I showed up to, give my 2 cents. And as I did that, him and I kind of connected a little bit. And then I met him again. He was doing some stuff for Mr. Brooks at Brooks Behavior Health Center. And shout out to Mr. Devin Brooks, who actually is like my baby brother. He's a pain in my neck.
Yes, we fight like brothers and sisters.
Yeah, we fight like brothers and sisters. That's my baby brother there. But I'm really proud of him. Great business owner. Looked for big things with him. But you were doing some stuff with him, and I was sharing some things that I was doing for Mr. Brooks at the time. And I said, well, Miss Washington, if you did this and you did this and this and this and this. But of course, being the woman I am, I said I didn't stop and give him the information. I was like, you and I need to talk later. So months later, the Spirit told me to give him a call. And I just want to make sure that everybody knows that I am a spiritual person. And even though I may not talk God all the time, I am always being led. And so I do what God tells me to do, whether I like it, whether it feels good or not. So the Spirit led me to give him a call. And I said just that to him. And I said, I want to have a conversation with you. I feel the Spirit leading me to have a conversation with you. I brought him in, and then we discussed this project. And one of the things about discussing the project is he looked at me like, huh? I told him, I said, I think you should write a book.
No, you said, I need a product.
Oh, yeah.
You said I need a product. I need a T-shirt, a pen, a calendar. And I'm like, well, I haven't arrived yet. I semi-arrived. I haven't arrived yet. People already think I'm, big-headed. But if I put out a calendar, they don't be like, what, really? and he's still going to put out a calendar. Maybe not today, but he's going to put out, yes, we going to put out a calendar. However, yes, I did. I said you need the product because he has Mr. Jeremy's Twist, and it's functional and it's flowing. But when you want to evolve and, we don't get bound by where we are today. We look forward to the future and what it has in store. And Mr. Washington, Mr. Jeremy, I need to be calling him because that is his brand. Mr. Jeremy is
really huge, and I know that he can be bigger. So Nevada, we're only confounded by what we think.
Indeed.
And I know Nevada is a great place to get your feet wet and learn the trades. But as far as entertainment goes, local entertainment and culture, we don't really support financially here in the city. But abroad, they do. Abroad, they will, not only do they support, but they'll lift you up and they'll pass you along and they refer, and it's really huge. So I wanted to help him position to be able to get into that flow.
And with that help, that's how, especially through Facebook went viral for me, especially with Mr. Jeremy's homemade sweet potato pies, fresh, smooth, creamy, no lumps, no shrinks, the buttery crust. People across the nation began to order, because I do ship across the nation. And they began to order, especially during Thanksgiving. I made over 360 pies.
Wow.
Shipped as well. But, people began to support me more so across the nation than
right.
in Las Vegas, even though I had a lot of support in the city.
Right.
But people began to support me that way, and also via liking the statuses on Facebook as far as my inspirational quotes,
right.
which is when you led to a book of quotes.
Book of quotes. So read a couple of the quotes from Pal. First, show them the book. It's really nice. I'm going to have to take it closer. So that they can see it, but you can go ahead and read a couple of quotes. And so this is what you can expect from his book. So he's going to read a couple of quotes.
Pain is temporary, but your sanity is forever. The way you manage them will determine your peace.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you kindly. Everyone has a purpose, and we should respect the purpose of others and not downplay it just because it may be different than yours. Pow. Let me just skip. The purpose of writing this is that I want it to be kind of like the Bible. Not saying this is the Bible, but you know how you pick up the Bible and you just read something and you're like, oh, that really spoke to me.
Yes.
So whenever you pick this up, you can just lay your hand on it and say, oh, that probably was for me. Do not be afraid to speak and to claim what God has given you to speak. If your walk doesn't match your talk, it doesn't mean anything.
You know what? Let's stop right there. Oh, okay. If your walk doesn't match what I love about the quotes here, because I had an opportunity to read it as he was formatting and we were putting the project together. I had a chance to read some of the quotes, and as he said, it's really full. It's full of just proverbs, right?
Proverbs, that's a good one.
Which I really believe that so I'm really big on reading Proverbs. I make my son read Proverbs. One of the men of God in my life said, if you want your son to be strong, you need him to read and understand Proverbs. So when I'm dating a guy and I'm serious about him, that's one of the things that I assign as a reading. I have a couple of reading things that I assign, but that's one of the things that I assign is Proverbs. And so what I love about this book is it inspires your thoughts, but it also kind of makes you get in alignment. And I think it is. Let me hold it because it's so pretty. This is my first time getting to hold it. So
yeah, it is.
It is. It's so pretty.
And your name is in there too.
Oh my goodness.
No one else's name is in it. Well, except mine, but your name is in there.
Oh yay! But what I love about the book is I see it as being like a table copy. So for example, this is my table, and it would just be sitting here. And when people came in and into my office, because I have one or two table books in my office because I've coached and championed a couple people in their projects, but they can pick it up and say, do not be afraid to speak and claim what God has given you to speak. I needed that today. You know what I mean? And then also you've made the pages align so that people can write their own ideas on it. And I think that's important because oftentimes we read this is really pretty. I'm going to take it closer so they can see it. Look, it was so cute.
You like the smile too?
You know?
What they say? They say I have an infectious smile.
It's just really well put together. But one of the things that we have a tendency to do is we don't take in what we read often. Mm-hmm. And so we've read, and even I have done this. One of my favorite books is The Alchemist. It's one of my absolute favorite books. But I think I've read that book maybe 4 times this year. And the reason why is because it's something that I'm evolving into. And as I evolve into those ideologies, I have to go back And your book has that same power and authority. What I can foresee is people having it around or even passing it around because it had that authority in their life, and then it'll be able to expand out. So I hope that everyone goes out and gets this book, and not just because I know Mr. Jeremy, but because I really believe in this project. I believe that I want to say this because you and I have spoken on many occasions, and I'm always speaking words of life. If you know me, that you know that that's who I am. I'm always speaking words of life into people, and I see people as God sees, intends for them to be, and not who they are today. But one of the things that I do want to say to you is, be the entertainer. Don't be afraid to be the entertainer. We're in a space where entertainment is important and it has a lot of influence. And so I want you to be comfortable being that entertainer. We can look forward to many, many more projects from Mr. Jeremy, including his pies. I haven't had his pies, right? But on Facebook, all I see is people posting pictures of empty tins. So I really I want to know what the pie looks like before it leaves.
Before they devour it.
Because every time I see the picture, to give them your Facebook page, if they're not on it, give them your Facebook
Mr.
page.
Grand Jeremy.
So it's Facebook /
Mr. Grand Jeremy. That's my fan page.
Mr. Grand Jeremy. So on that.
And also my website too. MrGrandJeremy.com.
Which is it launched?
It will launch today.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting! But so on his page, I follow him as a friend and as a fan actually, because I'm a fan first. And I always see the pictures of the pies, and in my mind, I'm like, now you can see the pictures of the pies done at his house. So at his house, you see them; they're all pretty. But when people post the pictures, it ain't nothing but a fork and a tin can. And them posting saying, I should have bought more pies. I need a pie stack. Now, to get your pies, do you just bake them seasonal or?
No, I bake year round.
You do bake year round.
I do bake year round. Now, and I tell people that you can't just order one because they're so delectable that you're going to want more and more and more.
Now, when they order out of town, how many do they have to order to get a pie?
You should order at least two.
Okay.
Because the shipping is $15.
Okay.
So it's worth more to just go ahead and order two.
Okay. And then also you don't want to be baking for just one pie.
Correct. And that's even locally.
Yeah, because that's not the best use of your time. Right. It's not the best use of your time. And so I know that the churches have bought your pies in bulk. And I know, they're and now when he bakes these pies, when he has an assembly line. Now you can see all this on Facebook. And now, we don't always get involved in like other people's stuff, and things are going on and you don't know who's really watching, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I really try to like people's stuff, at least, if I'm reading it, even if it's dirty and I probably shouldn't be in that realm, because people, I have all kind of friends, which I'm sure you do too.
Yeah.
And they post
and a lot of people are peeking and showing up not speaking.
Thank you.
That's in the book too.
And oftentimes, we have to allow people to be themselves. And so I have people that are on my page and they're just fans, right? And they have the interest that they are in, and sometimes it's a little to the left. But just because it's to the left doesn't mean I don't like it. I don't want to ever be in a space where I can't openly say that I think I like something or don't like something, right? So, and that goes also, I'm not going to touch on this, but I want you, I'm not going to get deep into this, but I want to have a little discussion that's a little controversial that's going on with you.
With me?
No, not with you.
Oh.
I want to have the conversation.
Okay.
Because people want to know how you feel and what you think.
Oh, okay.
And because usually you're just entertaining. So this is kind of intimate for you.
Okay.
So you don't have to be what they want. You're going to be today. You're going to just be Mr. Grand.
Oh, okay. But I do want to give some words of wisdom just about presentation.
Good.
I see a lot of people that like to cook food and post pictures of food. And I see people, they always like my food or like the pictures that I post. And I look at other people's food and I say, well, y'all didn't like their picture. Presentation is key.
Yes.
It may taste good, but if it don't look good, I'm sorry, baby, I'm just not going to eat it. So presentation is key. Your setup, things that are around it. People look at a picture and they inspect a picture, just like the Department of Health. So go ahead and post your picture, but make sure it is presentable.
I'm glad you said that. One of the things that I don't do is I don't post pictures of myself in my home. And people, like, I have little things that I don't do that people don't really even notice. But there are things, stuff that I do personally. One of the things is I never say my son's name on Facebook. So I never do.
Your nephew was adorable, though.
Thank you. And I don't say I don't say my nieces and nephews. I'm really private like that. So I call my son Prince. Most people,
I did think his name was Prince.
Most people do. Most people think my son's name is Prince, but that's not his name. One of the other things that I don't do is I don't post pictures in my home, mostly because I don't want people to know
what you have.
Exactly. And another thing is I very rarely will tag where I'm at unless I'm leaving. So if you see, I know, right? Unless there's a space where I've committed to being there, then I'll tag myself there. I'll check in there because I had already previously committed. But if not, then usually if you see me checking in somewhere, I've already left. Because I'm really private. I don't, I'm really loving and I'm always influencing people. So I don't always want to do that. Sometimes I'm just there because I just want to enjoy where I am. But I said that to say, so you see what's going on Facebook about Caitlyn and Bruce Jenner.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they can see your eyes. I don't know if they can see your eyes. But he gave me the eyes. Now,
I'm very expressive.
Now, I don't want to talk about the situation as far as what he decided. What I do want to say is I want to bring up how the media handled it. Mm-hmm. So right now we're in a situation where Akon is putting a project together where he's going to have it's a solar energy. So he's putting together a solar energy project that will give energy to 600 million Africans. Okay. And all I see on Facebook is Bruce Jenner is now Caitlyn. And so you're really big on influencing media, influencing people. So I want to ask you, what do you believe the key component is to influence the people, to influence the world, I'd say? What do you think the key component is? Is it message? Is it delivery? Is it the person? What do you think?
It's the drama.
It's the drama.
Just like sex sales, drug sales, drama sales.
Mm-hmm.
So anything, saving lives, that really doesn't matter nowadays.
Right.
But I'm sorry, I know you said you didn't want to touch on the issue. This really, all this attention that Caitlyn, Bruce, him, she.
Mm-hmm. He, him, her, because she's a her. Getting. Gender, yes, because she's gender
no
preference.
No disrespect to transgenders, but that Caitlyn is getting.
She's getting.
The issue that I have, not with Caitlyn, is that the world is focusing now on Caitlyn.
Right.
But then when we have people that live in our own home cities and our homes and towns that we bash or gay bash on and all that, but now we're focusing on them, even when the media focuses on homosexuality and condemns them, but we give so much praise, or we're proud of them, or proud of him and or her, all of that. That's the issue that I have. And not saying that it's wrong or right for homosexuality, but still, how can you approve or give props or, oh, that's so bold of you and commend, but then you condemn over here for the one that's not a celebrity. And
I'm glad that you said that, because one of the issues that I'm having, and I never touch on this stuff on my Facebook, mostly because I do know that I'm a woman influence, and I'm always being harassed about my influence because I have older mentors, so they're always like on my case. So I'm very conscious of certain things. However, this is bothering me for the exact same reason. As a matter of fact, on last Monday, Rolando and I had a show talking about gender preference, because I was saying that I had just had a conversation with my son about gender, which, no one prepares a parent to have that conversation, but I had to have that conversation because that's what's going on in the world. And then directly, I guess 2 days after that is when they released this. So it was just like really in that space, but I'm with you. I don't think I'm really upset with the media for making this such a huge ordeal because here's my issue. You made it a huge ordeal without offering the people that have to embrace it an opportunity to embrace it.
Mm-hmm.
You forced it on. Yes.
Well, they say he killed the internet.
Exactly.
She killed the internet.
Yeah. She broke the internet. Broke the internet. So I'm offended with the media again, because we're always offended with them about something, right? But particularly this one, because what they've done is they've challenged people's morality openly, and they've made an issue in people's homes that shouldn't be an issue. And that's a problem that I have. And
because now you have to talk about this to your child.
Exactly. And not just me, people across the world. But there's no education about it, right?
And he's not the only one. He's not the first one.
No, he's not. And there were so many people before him. And he's being, and please, I know better than that. She's also being nominated for awards and all kind of things. And I'm not against any of that, to be honest. Yes, I'm not against any of that. But here's a scenario that, as an influencer over media, are you conscious of, or do you ever think to yourself, how will this affect my fans, or how will they receive this information?
Am I?
Do you, as an influencer of media, do you ever take that into consideration?
Honestly, I do not.
Okay. So that, and I am always conscious of it personally, but I'm learning now, like you just said, I'm learning now that I'm going to just be me. At the end of the day, I'm 40 years old and I'm not going to change. Thank you. But I'm not going to change too much.
You can't. I think this is the way how I developed in life. Once I got over people and not saying this is you, but once I got over people and what people thought of me and how opinions mattered, then that's when the redefinition of Jeremy happened.
Yes.
Then that's when it was just like, accept me for who I am and what I am and what I like and what I do. And if you don't, forget you and the horse that you rode in on. So therefore, that's when I began to love me, the outer me and the inner me. So therefore, I don't really focus on not necessarily what's going on in the world, because if it's not making me. So if it's not going to make me or break me, then I'm just going to keep on going. The mountain can stay there, but I'm going to go around it, jump over it, or skip over it, something. That's in the book too. But I'm just still going to do me. And that's what I want my fans or my followers to do as well. Don't let what's going on in the world consume you or break you. Let it encourage you, inspire you. Take it, look over it, and keep on pushing. But
No, go ahead.
And with this, I did have a topic because now I'm seeing more and more about a homosexual lifestyle coming out. I had a topic at my social mixer, and it was, what is it, baby? Is it hypocritical of a parent to condemn their child to be homosexual, but then to have a best friend that is homosexual?
And that, that's a good conversation. And one of the things that Rolando actually asked me when we were talking about it was, when we were talking about gender preference, he asked me, did I think my son was gay? And I was watching the show the other day, because we are evolving in the show. So I was watching the show the other day and I skated around it, but I did go back to it. And as you said, one of my situations is we can't be hypocrites about anything, right? We shouldn't be hypocrites about anything. And what is going on in our world is no one's following anybody because nobody's being their true selves. And social media alone, I don't want to just say social media alone has made it easy to be someone else. They got a whole show about it. It's called Catfish. So it's becoming really easy to be someone else. And so one of the more difficult things, and I'm glad that you said this, is can you be yourself? And I'm glad that you're telling them you can't be worried about what other people think or Now, let's be clear. You need to be aware and you need to be conscious.
So very much so.
However, if you're going to do you, be bold in it. If who you are is whomever that is.
Own it.
Own it.
And be grand.
And yes. And stick to your character, because character matters. One of my girlfriends, TJ, we were having this conversation because I was actually talking about your book. I was saying, I just finished a project with Jeremy Washington, Mr. Jeremy. And I said, I was finishing the conversation with her. And I said, I got to go in the office because I got to read his press release because I just finished this project. And I want to make sure that he is really giving himself the props that he needs to, because, you know, I'm really, really proud of you. And I was telling her, she was like, well, you know, A'Esha, you can only have people in your life that have good character. Because I was saying, you know, I did the project because I felt led by the Spirit. And she said, does he have good character? And I said, yeah, you know, I believe in him. I trust him. And she said, if he has good character, then it's okay. She said, baby, it's okay to be into his project. That's okay. And so one of the things that I want to remind people is you must have good character. You know, morals are one thing, but you must have good character, and you must stand for something. Because if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. But whatever you're going to stand for, be bold in it. You know, be grand, as he would say.
And don't be so smart but so dumb at the same time.
Yes. Or what they say, don't be so godly for no earthly good, or something like that. But, you know, so Mr. Grand Jeremy.
But I'm sorry, can I add to that?
Yes.
There was something during fight weekend, we were walking down the strip and I was with a friend, and I guess somebody had said something, because, you know, people judge people for certain reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was walking down the street and I guess someone had said something sarcastic to me or about me.
Mm-hmm.
And my head was held high and I really didn't pay any mind to it.
Mm-hmm.
But my friend was like, Jeremy, you didn't hear what they said? And I was like, no. He was like, wow. He said, you know, I really respect you.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay. I said, if you walk around in life listening to everything that people say and let it affect you,
man,
you will never make it
never.
in life. So therefore, you're supposed to walk with your head up high.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, I'm tall,
yeah.
but you're supposed to walk with your head up high and not let it phase you. Then it's going to affect them even more.
Yes. And then they have to change. The more you embrace yourself and you're confident about yourself, you put yourself in a position where you attract the things that you need. And one of the new phrases that I'm saying, because I'm all about affirmations, which why I think power is so important. I'm going to bring it closer to the camera so you guys can see it. I think power is so important is because we need to affirm ourselves more. And one of the things that I say to people now is I want to be in a position where I can attract prosperity and equities. So in order for me to do that, I have to tear away certain things so that I'm only attracting prosperity and equity. And I say equity because we need to be equitable. You know, prosperity can just be rich in life, love, and happiness. And, you know, that's prosperity, but equity is. So I'm going to bring the book closer to you. You see it? You can see my legs.
All right, legs.
You see that, pal? Words of wisdom. Isn't that beautiful? And then here's the back.
That's me, y'all.
And that's the author.
It'll be available on Amazon and also on Kindle and also on MrGrandJeremy.com.
Yes, I was just getting ready to tell him to mention the event. So you want to tell them a little about the soiree?
Yes, I have my book release and signing soiree on Saturday, June 20th at 2 p.m. Doors open at 2 p.m. and will end at 4 p.m. I'll be graciously signing everyone's book. So I will love to see you all there at Via Brazil Steakhouse, located on 1225 South Fort Apache Road at Via Brazil Steakhouse. I love my voice on here.
Now you.
And for more information, you can always contact me, 702-278-3169.
Give them the address again, because we're not actually out of time.
Oh, okay. No
yeah,
problem.
We're not out of time.
The address is 1225 South Fort Apache Road. That's at Via Brazil Steakhouse, June 20th at 2 p.m. And this is not CPT, okay? Not CP time. This is 2 p.m.
So he will be starting at 2 p.m. Now, who is going to flow this event while you're, because you can't be the event host and, okay.
I will make a grand entrance. I already have my ensemble. And she doesn't know this, but A'Esha will be speaking at the event.
Oh my goodness. I did not know that.
But I do have some guest speakers, some presentations. I do have an MC. Her name is Tara Banks. She will be
good.
MCing.
Oh, I love Tara.
She has a great personality.
Oh my goodness. I just love Tara.
And I do have greeters at the door. I do have free gifts for you as well. So, you know, my thing about this project, it's not about me. Mm-hmm. As I told A'Esha, it's not about me. It's not about me making money. I'm not trying to get rich off of this. I want to touch the people. I want to help the people. I want to bless the people. As I say, I can go tomorrow. I can die tomorrow. But if I get to the gates and I know that I touch one soul, save one life, my job is done.
And that's what we're going to be held accountable to. We're going to be
Correct.
held accountable not to how we lived our life, but who we influence.
Correct.
And I say this on every show. It's our job to disciple. The Bible says, go ye therefore and teach all nations. And if you're not doing that, then you failed. Right? There's no need for or no reason for you to even be breathing. So I appreciate you taking that responsibility as your own. And I hope that everybody gets this book. It's available right now on Amazon.com, right?
It is, but I want to release it. I want to release it on the 20th, but I might do a oops next week and just say everyone go get it next week. But the actual release is June 20th for the book. And
even if you do, so we need to support our artists, right? We have to support the arts because it's actually a dying career. So I tell Jeremy this: you're an entertainer, and this is just your product. Like, I won't call him an author. And it's not because I'm disrespecting him, because obviously he's a published author. He gets the kudos. Many people say they're going to do a book. Very few do.
And your name is there too.
And my name is in the book. Yes. My name is also in this book. But one of the things that I always keep him focused on is he's going to affect the world through television and radio. That is what he will do. He will have talk shows that will travel around the world, and he'll be infectious in people's lives because of that. So he won't be known as an author, but he will be known as a published author. He'll be known as an entertainer, and that's what we want. We want people to understand that when you're an entertainer, you're multifaceted. And because that's your task. Your task is to keep people engaged, which is a hard task. Because
it's exhausting. One word, exhausting.
Oh my goodness.
But rewarding.
Very, very rewarding. As a business coach, I love what I do. Oh my goodness, I so love what I do. It's such a great experience and great purpose to be in people's lives, to infect their legacy. Because Lord, I thank you. I have the great responsibility of being a mentor, but then I also have the greatest gift to be a mentor. And it is just, there's nothing like helping people leave legacy. You know what I mean? Like, they're thinking about today, and when they finish, they've got 10 years ahead. So I appreciate you listening and following through, because here's the thing. And this is why I want to really have the people listen to this. Don't say what you're going to do. Do what you're going to do. Be a doer. The Bible says, don't just be a hearer, but a doer of the word. That also means be a doer of your words. So if you're speaking things and you're affirming them and you're not following action, you're lying to yourself. If you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, you're not lying to us because we don't care. You're lying to you. So if you're going to speak something if you're going to affirm it, because our words have life. If you're affirming these things, you have to follow through in action. Faith takes action. And so what he did, I think it's taken you 60 days to put this project together.
For Hawaii.
Yeah. So about 60 days, right? I sat him down, not even 60 days ago. I want to say probably 45 days ago.
It was April. What month
April?
Are we in?
We're in June.
It was right before. It was at the beginning of April.
Okay. So about 60 days. I sat Mr. Jeremy down, and I said, and literally it was about a 2-hour conference, and I said, you got to do all of this. It was a lot. It was a lot. I was like, you got to do all this. And I know he was exhausted when he left, because I literally was like, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this. And he was like, okay. And he was taking notes the whole time. Okay.
And she gave me tests, y'all. She gave me tests. I felt like I was in school. And there was time, 60 seconds.
But it's important. I'm a true coach. I hold you accountable to the task, because I'm not going to waste my time.
And for your vision.
For your vision, not mine.
What do you want out of yourself?
Yes. And so I asked him, could we do this? Could he do this? He said yes. He left the office, and I have been receiving texts from him ever since. He left the office and put everything into action. And so he has his website that's going to be launching. Give him the website again.
www.mrgrandjeremy.com.
He has a book that he's putting out
Pow, Words of Wisdom,
He has a signing that he's doing.
June 20th.
And then he has an event that now he'll be having product at.
Mr. Jeremy's Twist, which is on July 11th at Red Label Lounge.
And then in the back of his book, he has his
Mr. Jeremy's Homemade Sweet Potato Pies, fresh, smooth, creamy, no lumps, no strings with a buttery crust.
And so here is,
And he has a radio show too.
and he has a radio show. You have a radio show? Oh my gosh! Oh my
Well,
goodness!
just spoiled the news. Now I have a radio show. I'll be coming to you on Saturdays at 11 a.m. World.
Oh my goodness! And he has, I know he a trip.
Want to get it. Ain't nobody told you. Ain't nobody told me.
He didn't tell me. He just said it. Okay,
Out there.
that's so. Okay, so anyway.
Don't give me the crying.
But the greatest thing is he said what he was going to do, and he didn't even tell y'all. He didn't tell y'all,
I tell my mama.
and I didn't tell no one. It was just our secret, and between him and I, and literally when I say he's been texting me since he left, between him and I, he got the project done. And what I will say is he also did it using minority business owners. So I want to point out that you can have great product by using minority business owners. Don't let people tell you that Black people don't do good business, because I just showed you his products, right?
Right.
And they were all done by minorities, including his editing, because we do have minority editors. Now, when him and I talked, just so that everybody knows, because I have a referral base that's like this big. When him and I talked, I said, well, I wouldn't use this person because I know how they get down, but I would use this person. Call this person and have this conversation. Call this person and have this conversation. And it's important to know in our community who you can do business with. Mm-hmm. And it's important to refer.
Correct.
And one of the things that I am conscious of doing is knowing who's doing business. So if you know me and you know him and we don't know you do business, shame on you.
Right.
Because it's important for the influencers to know what you do and if you can do it.
Mm-hmm. And that's why the Black community does not strive.
Exactly.
But the other Hispanics, the Caucasian communities, they strive off of each other. But we all want to get ahead at the same time, but not help each other.
Not help each other. I really believe that
on the back of my flyers, you see how many sponsors I have because people believe in my vision.
Yes.
Even if I have people that wanted to sponsor and not even advertise, just wanted to donate because they believe in my vision. And that I do appreciate. And can I just shout them out?
Please.
I have Neurum International. I have Beauty Venom. I have Project Feed Kids, which is ACN. I have First Impressions. I have DG Creative Studio, Life Care Center of Las Vegas, Assemblyman Tyrone Thompson, Brooks Family Clinic, Herbalife Independent Contractor, The Urban Voice. And I have more, which are going to be on my social mixer flyer. But these are just to name a few. And people believe.
But you need to have skin in. So I teach this in Business Boot Camp. Business Boot Camp starts Saturday. I forget to shout myself out. Mm-hmm. Business Boot Camp. I have a Business Boot Camp where you can learn the things that Mr. Jeremy has learned. It starts Saturday at 9 a.m. If you want more information, you can call me at 702-817-0781. That's 702-817-0781. But one of the things that I teach is you need to have skin in, which means you have to invest in yourself if you want someone else to invest in you. Mm-hmm. And the reason why people are comfortable investing in you is because they've seen you do the work. Mm-hmm. You're a doer. Mm-hmm. You're not a talker. And it's important that we get into a space that we're doing. So congratulations, Jeremy Washington, on your book, Pal. High five. And this book will be available Saturday, June 20th, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. at Via Brazil Steakhouse. And if you want more information, you can visit him online at mrgrandjeremy.com. If you want to book him to speak or to host or to be on your radio show or your talk show, visit mrgrandjeremy.com. And I challenge you to actually do that. I challenge you to book him. He's a great host. He's a great guest. I just love him. I may have influenced him, but he's also encouraged me. And that's what this book is all about. So we will see you. I will see you Monday. And then he'll be telling you about his new show coming up. But I will see you Monday morning at 8 a.m. here at radiotribune.com.
Thank you.